Hello and welcome to My Mom's Basement and a special Thanksgiving edition of My Mom's Basement with Robbie and Clem. Can you tell we're wearing the sweaters? If you're not, only listening to this, if you're watching us on any of the video platforms, maybe you could tell we're in our nice Thanksgiving sweaters. Clem, you look great.
You look great as well, Rob. And to you, the viewer, listener at home, you look good wearing your sweater because we said wear the sweaters this week. So I'm expecting everyone to be wearing the sweaters. We might have said that at the tail end of the last episode. So if you didn't make it to that part,
go get a sweater. Go in your closet right now. Put a sweater on, take a picture of like yourself with the TV or the phone, or it'd be hard to take a picture of yourself with the phone, I guess. Get a different phone and do what you got to do.
Multiple phones. I want to see a phone and a sweater on every single person. You tag us and you will get at the very least a like on your social media platform
a retweet
of your choice. If you do not have a sweater, I mean, come on, you have a sweater. Go in the attic.
Everyone's got a sweater.
However, if you don't, let me tell you what to do. You go to the Barstool Sports Store because, Bob, when does this come out? When does this episode come out?
Tuesday night. This will be out Tuesday night, yes.
So we'll say Fridays, Black Friday. Can we say Black Friday? Is that still allowed? Yeah, I think it's Black Friday. Black Friday's allowed. We have the sweater sale going on. That's right. We're staying off of Dave Portnoy's radar for like the 10th year running. The Basement Boys keeping the lights on by not getting in trouble for not promoting the merch. Get your sweaters. We have the Grimace sweater for the Mets fans. We got the Jaden Daniels sweatshirt for the Commanders fans. We got a ton of beautiful stuff. Sales. Put Portnoy out of business. So that's our plug of the day. But it's good to be here,
Bob.
This
stuff, by the way, legitimately, not just like saying this for an ad. When we look at the merch that we have for sale this year, we have come such a long way in the last 10 years at Barstool. I haven't been here for all 10 years, but it's crazy. The merch now looks nice. The foreplay stuff, the Spit and Chiclet stuff. It's like you actually want to buy this stuff for your friends that are golfers or hockey fans or whatever. It's like good quality, great designs. The design team is always killing it. So yeah, shout out Black Friday, 20% off the whole store. And there's crazy amount of items. We got dog toys. We got everything. You could get stuff for Faith. I'm going to get some for Faith. I'll get her a Pink Whitney dog toy or something.
And let me make this very clear to everyone watching and listening. This is not an ad. There's no ads. We have ads coming. I promise you. This is just the boys keeping their hands. If you want to tag at Stool Presidente and just let them know that the Basement Boys were, pumping out Black Friday stuff before we even get to the Turkey Day, the day of the bird, I would not be against it. And I tell you, it's going to keep the lights on for at least one more episode. I hope
so.
So that's all I'm saying.
And help before we even get into the topics this week, I also want to say I'm very thankful for both Dave Portnoy and the listeners, because without Dave Portnoy and the listeners, the lights aren't on. So it's like we've been running this podcast. It's like 5 years, I think, pre-pandemic for sure. So thank you to everyone out there listening and who has been with us from the beginning, or the people that just hopped on last week. Maybe you're a new viewer. Maybe this is your first My Mom's Basement episode. I hope it is somebody's first episode.
And they're like, these fucking guys are asking me to wear a sweater and take a picture of me with my phone. How is that even possible? Welcome to the basement. You can't leave. Robbie, I'm thankful for you as well. You got me on the podcast. I have a great time with you. And I do believe, was our first episode the Endgame preview?
It was, yeah. The first episode of the podcast in general was Dana White. And then the second episode was the Endgame preview. Yeah.
The all-time biggest drop in Barstool history from one episode to the next. Dana White to just two idiots talking about Endgame. Looking back, might have started at the high peak in terms
we
of
really did. It was all downhill from there.
Oh my! Tell those two bright-eyed kids what they were gonna be covering in the MCU after Endgame was over. Not pretty, but you know what? We're here. It's Thanksgiving. We're thankful. We're gonna eat. We're gonna drink. We're gonna be merry. We're gonna talk nerdy for a whole bunch of minutes here.
We have some topics to talk about. We're going to do a draft of characters you'd want to invite to Thanksgiving at the end of this episode. And also, KenJac is going to join us in just a few minutes to give us his spoiler-free thoughts on Skeleton Crew Episode 1. He just watched the screener at his desk. I saw him watching it. I was like, no spoilers, but also I want to hear what you're saying about it so we all know what to expect on December 2nd when it drops.
It would have been pretty cool if he was watching it at his little TV with the VCR built in. That's Disney's marketing should be VHSs, because this does feel like an 80s vibe.
Yes,
right? This show,
absolutely.
That would have been pretty sweet.
All right. So the first topic I want to talk about, we've been kicking the podcast off with Batman the last few weeks, and I want to stick on that path. Reportedly, rumored, Robert Pattinson has met with Kevin Feige for a role in the MCU. This is strange, Clem. I saw this report hit Twitter yesterday. It's from one of these famous scoopers. I think it's like Daniel KRP or RPK, something like that. I don't know how to feel about it, but my gut says I don't really like it. I think if you're playing someone that high up, if you're playing a Batman, I don't know if I want to see you playing another superhero for the other team. You know, that with like Henry Cavill doing it for like the cameo and whatever. Like that's like whatever. He's no longer Superman. Robert Pattinson, maybe not right now. It would surprise me, to be honest. Like Pattinson doesn't seem like the kind of guy who would want to be in the MCU. Maybe I'm wrong.
He just seems like a guy who doesn't even want to be bothered for just being the Batman in a dark, real Batman. He's like, whatever, I got to get the paycheck and then I can do my indie movies or whatever. I didn't even know about this. This is shocking. This would be like, I always bring it back to this analogy, and I feel like we're getting to this point. This is someone in the WWE then going to WCW back in the day and be like, listen, I want to play a character on your show as well. And granted, movies are different than wrestling, the way the contracts work, but it's like the same thing. It's like, oh no, but I won't be Bret the Hitman Hart. You could put a mask on me. No, it feels like you're going between you're merging worlds together, blurring lines. That's just weird. You could do this if you're, let's see, what, a tier 6 character? Like if you're a superhero or villain, I'm trying to think like what the highest, like a Batman, a Superman, a Wolverine, Cap, those guys, you can't switch sides if you're the actor for any of those roles.
And it's like you maybe if you're a villain, like I'm thinking immediately like Downey Jr., but that's going to be looped in. It's going to be there's a reason for Iron Man being Dr. Doom and stuff. So it's like Christian Bale went over to Marvel and he was, Gore the God Butcher, but that was after he was retired as Batman. It feels like that chapter is put away. It's like we're still waiting for the Batman part 2. Matt Reeves has to finish that script, by the way. I don't want to rush this guy. I know we're still singing his praises from his whatever he was involved with in the Penguin and whatnot. But it's getting to that point where we're hearing from actors being like, yeah, I haven't heard from him in a while. I don't want this movie to get delayed any more than it already has. Like, it's already 2 years away. Let's get going on that script, Matt. Come on.
I wonder, he's, maybe Oz is getting a little bigger in the script, right? So
maybe.
That could be something.
Oz and Sophia.
So what would be like, could Jimmy Olsen go to the MCU and be someone different? Like, what is the highest guy that you think can go, and active Jimmy Olsen? That's that Jimmy Olsen from like a movie years ago. And then who? I
think as long as you're not like that main level, like I even think like,
can Michael Douglas go to the DCU? Could Michael Douglas go to the DCU?
Yeah, I think so.
See, that's tough, man. Pym is fucking so
But like Paul Rudd can't.
No,
you know
definitely.
What I mean?
You're an Avenger, you can't. Avengers can't, Justice League can't.
So there's rumors that Kumail is going to be in both because Kumail's in the Eternals and reportedly James Gunn wants to use him. You could do that.
I mean, let's be honest. The Eternals was what it was. We enjoyed it, but like that is one that definitely does work. I like that as an example. And like
Chris Pratt, he's being rumored for DCU.
No, absolutely not.
I know, but it's going to happen. With James Gunn, it's going to happen.
You can't do that. No, it's not. This is going to become. I feel like a wrestling fan right now. Like,
he almost has to be like such a different character. He almost has to voice a character or be someone constantly under a mask, or again, maybe a villain. Like it's going to be weird to see Star-Lord as a different hero.
And I said this back when they hired the guy from Rebel Ridge for Green Lantern. It's like it feels like this is the talent scoop up, the competing between the two Titans. That's like, all right, we have him locked in, and now by this guy becoming our Green Lantern, he can't then become someone major in the MCU.
What about Batista?
So, but that's actually a good gray area. No pun intended for Drax, his skin. But yeah, I think that works because it's enough makeup and like a costume, mask, makeup. So yeah,
and it's such a like that character is also like so Drax. I feel like if you just talk naturally, it's immediately like, oh, he's nothing like Drax.
And it would hurt me. It still like hurts my dumb, nerdy comic book moron soul.
It would hurt you. That's so funny.
Like think about it. Like all the Guardians, Nebula, she can, go.
Yeah.
She's like a smoke show. She can. Same with
Poison
Zoe,
Ivy. Boom.
Yeah, Poison Ivy. The girl Gamora, Zoe
Saldana.
By the way, recommendation of the week: KFC has been like ranting about this Lioness show. I was like,
you checked it out?
3 episodes in, hooked. Awesome. It's fucking awesome.
Gotta get on it. Yeah.
And I didn't realize she's in it. Zoe.
Yeah.
She is. I have a crush on her. It's flat out crush. I felt weird about this crush when she's in Avatar too. I'm like, this doesn't feel right. The feelings I have for her. Probably it's a lot of computer graphics. That's why.
Yeah.
But it checks out. So Bradley Cooper. I guess Bradley Cooper could play if he's in human form. Yeah. It's like, even though it's not Rocket, I imagine imagine Vin Diesel's like, no. Marvel's my family. It's like, dude, you say one word for a fucking tree that you're not actually a part of. So yeah, I mean, I personally don't like it. Like Pattinson too high, the Superman guy. He can't then switch sides.
Yeah, no.
You can't have Cena in the MCU. It sucks, but you can't have him as of right now. Like, would you say Peacemaker is big enough?
I don't know. I feel like
show.
Yeah, and Cena is also one of those guys where it's like, I haven't seen enough range from John Cena yet. I think he's a great actor and has real comedic chops, but I haven't seen enough range from him yet to be like, oh, I'm not even seeing him as John Cena right now. You know what I mean?
That's fair. Yeah, because I watch him in the Bear. I'm like, oh, John Cena.
John
Cena. Like that's all it was. So yeah, that's like Colin Farrell even. It's like, no, dude, you are not going to the MCU until your Penguin character is done with in the DC.
Him though, it's like, I don't see Colin Farrell at all when he's the Penguin. So it's like, I don't know. Maybe I could buy him as someone else in the MCU.
No, you sold me. You're right. Especially keep his real accent too. Because
like if he was Irish, skinny Colin Farrell, cool looking, like maybe you could make that work. I don't know. It's weird though. It's funny that we're talking about this Thanksgiving. I looked at last Thanksgiving, what we were actually talking about on the episode, and it was a lot of casting news. It was Nicholas Hoult had just gotten cast as Lex Luthor, who played Beast in the past. That's kind of a back and forth thing. Pedro Pascal had just gotten cast as Reed Richards, who has played everyone under the sun.
You know what? That's the answer to this question. Just have Pedro Pascal play the entire universe for every single fucking series on DCU, MCU, Star Wars, everything else.
And we were speculating on who would play Dr. Doom. We were like trying to see who it would be. Little did we know it was going to be Robert Downey Jr. We could have blown our minds. If we had a time machine to go back to last year's episode, just been like, RDJ.
What? I would have loved if one of us was smart enough to even think of that ridiculous answer, but there's no way we came. And we have some crackhead theories on this show.
Yes.
It's not crackhead. What is that?
They're crackhead theories.
Crack.
On our theories, they're crackhead theories.
They are very much crackhead theories. No.
All right. Before we bring KenJac on to talk about Skeleton Crew, let's tell everyone about Game Time. We tell everyone about Game Time constantly, and this is the best time to talk about Game Time because the holidays are coming up. And I always talk about this. Getting tickets to something to look forward to for Christmas or birthday, holiday, whatever it is. One of my favorite things, because it's like you get a present in the moment to be excited about, and then you have something to look forward to. And then when the concert or show or sporting event, whatever it is, when it happens, it's like another event on top of that, another present on top of that. We love getting out to events with Game Time. With their Game Time Picks feature, it makes it even easier to get out to a game. Game Time Picks filters out all the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats. So you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. If you go to their website right now, gametime.co, you pull it up, popular events around New York City. Seahawks at Jets get in for $32 this Sunday. Blues at Devils get in for $22. Bruins at Islanders, another one you get in for $22. Zach Bryan, fuck that one. We're not going to that one. Pentatonics at Madison Square Garden, $28. Madison Square Garden. It's worth just, if you've never seen the Garden, if you're in town for the holidays, it's worth going to any event at the Garden for $20 just to say, I've been at the Mecca. I've been at the world's most famous arena. Shout out Game Time, always making it so easy to get into events. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code MMB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code MMB for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. What time is it? Game Time. We love Game Time. All right, now throwing it over to KenJac's thoughts on Skeleton Crew Episode 1. All right, we are back. We are with KenJac, who just watched. He's just moments after watching Skeleton Crew Episode 1. What are your thoughts on the first episode? Spoiler-free, obviously, no spoilers. But I walked in, it seemed like the opening sequence, at least, you were pretty thrilled about.
Yeah, I think that like some of the early people saying like, oh, like they're going for like a Goonies vibe, blah blah blah. Like, yeah, like it's definitely got like a pretty heavy Goonies vibe. I'd say like that opening sequence is the first time like you stick with like adults, and then like once you get to the kid action, it really hits like the Goonies sort of stride. And they establish it's kind of like interesting because like they subvert a lot of Star Wars feel and kind of like graft it onto the Goonies type of world, like a more like what we think of like a suburban kid upbringing. They graft Star Wars stuff onto, which is kind of sick because like we always think of like in our brain like a Star Wars house. Like what is that?
Yeah.
Like I don't know what a house is in the Star Wars world, and like
it's
this
a lot of huts
shows,
and like weird stuff like that.
Yeah, or like just suburban life in general, and like it has that. It has like the kid sense of adventure, and like that I feel like has been missing in movies in general for a while. Like that Spielberg sense of adventure in a movie, or you know what I mean? Where it's like you're just like really pumped up and excited, or like Christopher Columbus or type of those type of directors, and they really it has that. It definitely has that.
That's good. So you would say overall you liked the first episode?
I really liked the first episode. Yeah, there were like a couple points where it's like a little like some corny lines or whatever, but it's a kid show, so like it's kind of those things where like you reel yourself in and you're like, oh yeah, it's a goofy kids line.
And John Watts directed the first one, right? First and last one he did, and I saw Bryce Dallas Howard did the sixth one, which instantly that becomes like the one I look forward to the most because she has crushed every Star Wars thing she's done.
Oh yeah. Big time. But yeah, John Watts directed. You get to feel a little bit of that. I would say specifically like Spider-Man Homecoming feel type to it for sure. John Watts also. Did you see him with like Apple TV the other day?
Yeah, he broke up with them, which is kind of sick the way he did it. He gave like that new movie Wolves with Brad Pitt, George Clooney. They told him that was going to be in theaters. Then they put it straight to streaming, and he had like a sequel already that they paid for. He said he just gave him the money back. Was like, yeah, thanks, but no thanks.
Oh,
yeah, pretty fucking
baller. Like that made me like him, and I liked him already from the Spider-Man movies. But I was like, all right, John Watts, fucking, he's one of these guys that's like, yeah, you're gonna lie to me. I'm not doing business with you.
If Wolf
also this, I don't think this is a big spoiler, but KenJac just excitedly exclaimed while watching the episode. He's like, "Ooh, we got new Star Wars food."
Yeah,
and I responded back. I was like, "Oh, nice. Is it blue?" And he was like, "Yeah."
Dude, when you were saying Star Wars houses, I think we're all thinking of Luke's fucking hut. Like that's all we have, and then it's just buildings. That's huge buildings.
That's it. It's like an apartment, maybe like you get from, but it's usually like an imperial like barracks. You know what I mean? It's not like
I think back to like Jyn Erso's house in the beginning of Rogue One. It's just like in a cave.
It's another hut. It's a lot of underground huts, but like this, it's cool.
I got a question for you, KenJac. So, infamously, the Star Wars kid actors have been struggling on the Disney Plus shows.
Yeah.
You struggle with a kid show with nothing but kids in it, or mostly kids, that's going to be a problem. One episode in. With the bar being, let's say, is the bottom bar being the kids from Acolyte or Leia from Obi-Wan? Where's the bottom?
Or, I mean, Jake Lloyd from the Phantom Menace.
Jake Lloyd from the Phantom Menace.
So, like,
I don't know.
I think
or the Spy Kids in Boba Fett, right? Like,
I think the flashback of the Acolyte, to be completely honest, personally, I think those kids were the worst, personally. At least Jake Lloyd I have a nostalgic thing for. And then Leia was like, she had certain scenes where I was like, all right, I could kind of see a young Leia in her.
Mm-hmm.
Do we clear that?
I think that I would put them in like Jake Lloyd, I think, is like right there, because you always just think about it. But the other part of it too is like, what did Jake Lloyd as a kid actor get to work with? Where it's like,
his line was yippee. How do you make yippee sound good?
Yeah, this is pod racing, or let's barrel roll, like that, and all these like
I'm Anakin, and I'm a person.
Yeah, he didn't have a lot to work with. I think that these kids got a lot more to kind of do, and like they all have that sort of like archetype in like old 80s and 90s like kid adventure movies. You know what I mean? Which is kind of nice. Like the main kid actor is, I thought, pretty strong. And his like best friend is like I don't know which species it is. But it's like it's an alien.
The Max Rebo type species.
Yeah, like
they said it's not a Max Rebo species.
That pissed me off so much. I said, come on, give us a Rebo.
Blue, he's an elephant. It's really close.
Yeah, and he's very fun. He reminds me of did you ever watch Jojo Rabbit?
Yeah, I like Jojo
So,
Rabbit.
do you remember the Alfie or whatever the kid, the other
chubby
kid? Yeah, the chubbier kid. He reminds me a lot of him. He's very funny.
I like that movie. I mean, obviously, like it's a devastating movie, but like funny and devastating at the same time. But yeah, I'm excited for this. I was excited when I saw the first trailer. I was like, all right, this looks pretty good. The second trailer, I was like, oh, like this, the quality of it. Again, not to harp on the Acolyte, because I've said this on the podcast before, but it immediately felt like it brought it back to like a Mandalorian level looking quality. Where it's like, oh shit, like I think this is going to be good. I love the Goonies. I love that Spielberg-esque vibe. I just rewatched Super 8 and I was like, this movie's like literally like J.J. Abrams being like, I love Steven Spielberg. I'm making a Spielberg movie. And I dug that as well. So I'm excited for this. And it makes me a little more optimistic that they said it's now a 9 p.m. premiere. December 9th, they're doing the 9 p.m. premieres for not the Acolyte, for Skeleton Crew, obviously. And I think that is them being like, hey, we want more eyes on it. I also saw the Bryce Dallas Howard episode is New Year's Eve. And I was like, oh, that's kind of a fun, like, New Year's Eve thing. You look forward to a Star Wars episode and then the ball drops. Like, I think Skeleton Crew is going to be a hit. I've got my faith in it.
Yeah, I just like it. I miss that sense of adventure. You know what I mean? Like that feels like it's been missing. And I think the problem with Acolyte, and I don't know, maybe you guys would agree with me. I think that like there is a market as an adult to watch like a kid-based show. There's a market for an adult to watch an adult show. There is not really a lot of market, I think, or for me, and at least for like this young adult genre of movies and shows. It always comes off like very like inauthentic. Like kids are like generally like pretty innocent, like it's an easy thing to do, but like when you try to as an adult make a young adult show, I feel like it always comes off as kind of phony and like I don't know, it never really works. And I think that's what the big issue with the Acolyte is, just that teenage area just doesn't really work, I think, in the Star Wars world. But like you get the kids, I think in the adventure world, I think that works. So I think this is a very Goonies is a great comp. Again, take that with a big grain of salt, only one episode in and all that. But like it has that feel of 90s and 80s kid adventure, like good soundtrack too. You know what I mean? Like it has like that not like John, I don't want to throw John Williams out like it's nothing, but it has that like John Williams, like, oh, we're going out on an adventure like that.
Whimsical,
Yeah, it has that feel.
When you were describing the Steven Spielberg, Christopher Columbus thing, I did have like the John Williams. I mean, it's like as soon as we're done eating our turkey, it's like that's Home Alone season begins. You have Elf, and it's those kind of songs that really get those movies going. And I kind of was like, fuck, I hope we get some kind of whoever's in charge of the music. I don't imagine John's waving the baton for this one, but if they can get something even like a facsimile of it, I would be absolutely sold. And I still love that KenJacs are basically a canary in the coal mine. We send him out, and then if he doesn't come back out like happy, we're like, oh, this Star Wars show is going to suck. Canary Jack, basically.
Oh, and it makes sense. By the way, Michael Giacchino did the score on this.
I was going to ask. Yeah, he's the man. He's awesome.
You want to talk about great adventure soundtracks? That guy has been unbelievable. And like the little weird things about him is, in my brain, I've known him forever. Because he did the soundtrack for a lot of video games in the early 2000s. And I remember me and my brothers, especially this one game, Medal of Honor Frontline, me and my brothers like wore the CD down. Then the soundtrack was amazing. It's like way too deep to be in like a goofy like 16-bit video game. And it's amazing. And when you beat the games, you get like all these like behind the scenes things, you know what I mean? Like you unlock shit. And like we watched it. I remember watching like what must have been like a 25-year-old like Michael Giacchino like conduct an orchestra on like a behind the scenes clip in the PS1 video game, like or PS2 video game.
And now his kid is a good composer too. His kid composed The Penguin.
No fucking way. That's
Mickey
crazy.
Giacchino. Yeah,
that's insane. Just like
he did the Batman, and he was like, "Hey, my kid can do The Penguin. He could handle this."
And this is a guy like he did The Incredibles. Like he just has that feel down, and I think that like he has that almost in the same way of like Silvestri, who did like Back to the Future and like Avengers and stuff like that. He has that accompanying soundtrack that just gets you in that mood. And I don't know. I dug it a lot through that first half.
I'm looking at him here. The Incredibles, Ratatouille, Up, Coco.
Up is that like an iconic score. Instantly.
Iconic. Yeah. There was something I watched the other day. There was like a show, and they had the Up. They just used all the Up, just music and stuff, and the Inside Out stuff as well. And you just are like, fuck. I don't realize how much that shit just bangs. You know, they're incredible. That piano, that's who's in charge of this. Like, this is good. This is a big win
It is.
for Kathleen Kennedy right now, who's had KenJac. We've been saying, like, I think 2 episodes ago, we're like, I just can't trust Star Wars. They say something's coming out, and then they inevitably just delay it. And then the next week, there was a delay, and we're like, here we fucking go again. Or they were scrapping projects. So they just can't get out of their own way. This feels like it could be like not a huge win, but like definitely a W.
Yeah, all due respect to my fellow Kennedy, she's not been having a great run, I would say. Good old Aunt Kathleen. She's not been doing an awesome, but also at the same time, like
KenJac. Her name's KenJac.
Yeah. But at the same time, like when like you're putting out stuff and it's not being well received, I think it's better for them. And you can see Marvel's been doing this too. It's better for them to like rip the Band-Aid off and be like, okay, let's stop overloading. Let's not just do it because we said we'd do it. Let's like reel shit in and let's figure it out. Instead of making like, what's her name? Like Patty Jenkins, Rangers of the Outer Rim. Like, let's pull that back in, save that money.
Rogue Squadron was it? Yeah.
Yeah,
she did that whole video too where she was on the aircraft carrier. Yeah, it's just too much too soon. I do think they're listening to feedback in a good way right now at Lucasfilm, because we had that quote from Tony Gilroy this week where he basically said Andor season 1 was so well received that he got absolutely 0 creative notes for season 2. They were like, we trust you. You clearly know what you're doing. I said to Clem this week, I was like, that makes me wish they could release the fuck the Empire cut of the finale. Like, if they trust him that much, like, let's retroactively trust that decision to have Martha. Was it Martha? No, that's Batman's mom. Margaret, whatever her name was. She was like, fuck the Empire. But she says, fight the Empire or whatever. But that makes me excited too. It's like, all right, they know Tony Gilroy knocked that shit out of the park, and they're like, all right, do whatever you want with Star Wars now. Like he almost has the key to the city, key to the galaxy.
Ooh, there we go. I like that.
Love that.
How about that?
Yeah.
Another thing that this is kind of a no-brainer, nothing story, but I saw Clem had a funny quote tweet of it. Marvel reportedly wants to make a sequel to Deadpool and Wolverine because obviously it made $1 billion. It's the #1 rated R movie of all time. Like, of course they do. And Clem quote tweeted it with the, you're going to do this till you're 90.
Till you're 90. Welcome to the fucking business, Hugh. Welcome to the fucking MCU. I mean, we were all at the same point with this, where it's like, no, just don't. Like, you can, but not for a while. Like,
you got to give it some time.
Yeah, and KenJac was the one who really hammered this home to me when we saw Deadpool and Wolverine in the theater. Like, I love the Deadpool movies. I watch them. I have a blast. They're like 10 out of 10 when I leave the theater. I watch it again, and it goes down a little. And then it's like, I can't really watch it for like years. And then I watch it again, and I'm like, this is so much fun. That's kind of what these movies are, right? It's like, we have Wolverine. Let's let Wolverine do stuff. Or, whether it's Hugh Jackman or someone else, do stuff in the MCU. Let's let Deadpool do stuff in the MCU. And at some point, we could bring them back together. But, like, I'd rather see him
pop up
in a while.
Yeah, I'd rather see him pop up in other movies and have their little appearances and interactions with different characters before we bring them back together and do a whole movie of them interacting again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally agree. It's those movies just kind of have like an expiration date. They're like good for a pop, but not good for like a sustained thing, I think. But
I actually think the most recent one is maybe the best one in that way, and might be recency bias because there is a lot of modern Marvel jokes in it. But like, I mean, the first one does age decently well as well, just because it's such a singular story and like so self-contained. But it is like, the second one definitely has some timely jokes that have missed, and maybe I'll feel differently about Deadpool Wolverine in a few years. Also, I just wanted to shout out Absolute Batman, the comic series that Jose Youngs recommended on this podcast and said was going to shatter records. It did shatter records. I went back because I started reading about it and I was like, all right, listen, I just got to get in on the ground floor. I haven't been buying single issues, floppies, monthly since I was in like high school because it's just they take up space. You got to go to the comic book store once a month. It's a hassle. I said, fuck it. I'm supporting the industry. I ordered some comics on eBay, got the floppy issues, and I just want to break this down to you, Clem. I just told KenJac about it because I can't stop talking about how cool this series is. Absolute Batman is completely reimagining the Bruce Wayne Batman character. It's like, what if Bruce Wayne wasn't a billionaire playboy? What if he was a blue-collar construction worker that was built like Brock Lesnar? He is massive. You see the picture of him on the first cover. He's got that giant bat symbol. Guess what? That bat symbol, he takes like pliers too, pulls it off his chest. It becomes a battle axe that he can slice hands off with. His ears come out of the cowl and become knives that he's slicing and dicing people with, but he's making sure he doesn't hit the right arteries because he still doesn't kill. He does use guns, but they're like non-lethal. He'll rig guns to be non-lethal and shit. And they changed his origin as well. So when Bruce Wayne was in 5th grade, he wins some engineering grant scholarship thing that one of the prizes is his 5th grade class gets to go to the zoo for a field trip. His dad is his teacher. Thomas Wayne is not like a rich guy. He's a friggin' school teacher. He chaperones the class to the school, to the zoo. The zoo gets shot up. And as the shooter is like approaching, Thomas Wayne throws the class behind the door and with Bruce. And he's like, don't open this door no matter what. And he gets shot and like up against the door. Bruce and everyone is trapped inside the bat exhibit. That's where he kept them safe in the zoo. So they changed that up. And Martha's still alive. Like Bruce Wayne's mom is alive working for the mayor, Jim Gordon. Kind of a cool storyline there. Alfred does not know Bruce yet. They don't have like a relationship like that. Alfred is a badass MI6 agent they sent to Gotham to investigate this like new gang that's risen up. And him and Batman are at odds. Alfred clearly respects him a little bit. He's like watching all the shit he's doing. And he's like, all right, he's pretty good. But like a real master would have like rigged explosives outside for the people that escaped. And then the explosives go off for the people that escaped. And he's like, all right, he's pretty fucking good. Like they're at odds right now, but you could tell it's going to become like they're going to form that relationship. Also, the villains, there's no like classic Batman villains shown straight up yet, but they're all teased as Bruce's best friends. So like the guy who owns the gym that he goes to they call him Croc. We know he's going to turn into Killer Croc. His best friends that he plays poker with are Harvey, Eddie, and Ozzy. We know they're all going to turn into Two-Face, the Riddler, and the Penguin. They teased the richest man in the world never has laughed at anything, and his name, the Joker. And like, we don't even really know what he looks like yet, but there's so much about this that has like almost like reinvigorated my love of Batman in a way that I didn't think would be possible with such a weird take on the character. But it's awesome, and I'm fully in, and I think that our listeners should be in as well. Like, get the first 2 issues and then start reading this monthly with us because it's pretty badass.
You had me at Battle Axe, Bob. Like, he basically sold me on the spot, right? KenJac, did you hear about any of this stuff beforehand?
Yeah, Robbie was telling me earlier today, and I love the idea of blue collar Batman. Him just beating the fuck out of like Penguin and being like, "You got soft hands, brother." Like, just
they show him. I said to KenJac too. They show him like fucking destroying villains. He's more violent than we typically know Batman to be. Like when he chopped the hand off, the guy's like holding his hand. He's like, "Oh my God, you chopped my hand off." Batman's like, "Yeah, I think there's a hospital like 3 blocks south, or is it west?" And he's like, "I don't know. You should go quick." And then the next morning, he has to like fix the area that he broke because he works in construction and engineering and shit. His Batmobile is like a giant construction like dump truck looking thing, but it's like 2 stories tall. It's crazy. His Bat caves are just empty construction sites. It's awesome. I think people should be in on it. The last story I want to talk about before we get into our draft. The Rock came out and said he thinks people should be allowed to sing at movie theaters. And I blogged this. I wasn't crazy passionate about like fuck The Rock for this take because he's promoting Moana too. And he's probably talking about little kids singing Moana. And at the end of the day, whatever. I don't really care about that. But I blogged it just because I'm like, theater etiquette is at an all-time low. I couldn't believe how many shots of Wicked went viral. People being like, share your pictures of the screen. And then people would tweet back and they'd be like, "Oh my God, you got such a good view." It's like, what is happening right now? We're just taking pictures in movie theaters. And that always pisses me off too. When you see someone's flash go off and they're clearly taking a picture of the screen. It's like, come on, man. I said in my blog, take a picture of the poster outside. Take a picture of your ticket with your popcorn. Take a picture of the standee they have. There's other ways to put on your Instagram story, "Hey, I'm at the movies," than like, here's a screenshot of the movie I'm at. Clem, what was your take on this?
Well, first of all, this whole thing with the taking pictures and the etiquette, I think someone's trying to kill Jeff D. Lowe. That's the end game here. Like, you know what it's going to be? It's going to be Stephen Shea. Stephen Shea is going to do something at a movie, tweet it out or do something, and Jeff D. Lowe is going to have the corner being like, "You can't do that at a movie theater. It's against the fucking law. The unwritten rules."
He's gonna be like reviewing the All 22 in the middle of his like showing or something.
And he's gonna give like a great movie, like, "I thought it was terrible. 2.1."
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Oh, I had Steven on the run. I was on with Steven on the rundown yesterday, and just like getting into that brain and talking about the takes, the way he like reviews movies.
The Wicked thing was crazy because you can't grow up in the tri-state and not know about it.
The commercials, the billboards, like what the fuck? Yeah.
He's like, I lived a block away from there. I'm like, then what are you talking about right now?
Yeah.
It makes no sense. But again, this is a guy who used to I don't know if you ever heard this story from an episode of Bracket. He told us his parents would have to put mustard on his windowsills so that he would stop eating his house. That is this is the brain we're talking about here. The lead poisoning from those paint chips he was ingesting are just constantly at work. But I agree with you about the theater etiquette stuff. It's crazy. And like there's certain movies where it's like experiential and like that is part of the experience. Like The Room, for example. Like
of course.
Yeah. Like when they show The Room.
And they do sing-along screenings. I'm fine with that too.
Yeah.
Like that's why they have sing-along screenings, because it'd be crazy to sing along in a non-sing-along screening.
Exactly. Like that's what those sorts of showings are meant for. I think if you put those, like, you can't just apply that to every movie theater because like there is just a code of ethics for a movie and you're not supposed to violate it.
And again, if you're a kid or something, I would be a little annoyed if a kid was screaming in my showing of Wicked or whatever, but it's a kid. If we're talking about adults here, if you were going to see Wicked this week and like just a woman behind you or a man behind you just started being like defying gravity, you'd be like, what the fuck is going on? I would go full Karen. I said I would demand like the high school workers in the theater drag that person out and bring them to a mental hospital.
Yeah, we've had some bad theater experiences. We had that guy poop his pants in Deadpool.
Shit himself, Deadpool too. Yeah.
Pooped his pants.
I've been in theaters where people jerked off behind me, and I think the singing would be more offensive.
Yep. There's some bad things. You can't do that. And they do and by the way, they every theater, they do the whole thing in the beginning where they're like, hey, don't do this, don't do that.
Yeah, they're like, shh, fucking be quiet, turn your phone off. That's for a reason.
And also John Chu, I don't know if you saw that, the director of Wicked was like, yeah, make sure you go and tell your theaters to crank up the volume to us. Yeah, he's like, turn up the volume in your theaters. It's like, can you just imagine if you're trying to watch like, a Real Pain next door to just a Wicked screen with the volume cranked to a 9? Like it would suck. Like they trust them to understand what volume to keep the music at, please.
I think so. This was my take on the sing-along stuff. I'm with you. I think Wicked, something that is new, just came out, that should not be the case. But if you're going to see a movie that's re-released, I personally would I wouldn't get upset personally if All Things Fly. So when I see like Die Hard gets re-released, everyone's doing like, Hans, movie, like they're laughing at the deep. Like I appreciate people laugh at the deep cuts. And when people cheer for like when especially like a bit character comes on screen that people love, I love that. And if I'm going to see like Moana 2, we're definitely going to go see this weekend. Mm-hmm. If I could see Moana 1, I would do it in a heartbeat. It's, again, #1 Disney movie. Whole family loves it. We're going to watch it here. I'd love to watch it in the theater. And if I watch it in the theater, I'm screaming Shiny. I am screaming You're welcome. I'm doing everything. And it's a fucking event. But when if it's like Wicked and it's a new movie and you're going to see it for the first time, you can't have everyone singing there. I'm 100% with.
And like, again, The Rock probably didn't mean any harm with that comment. But it kind of does do harm, I think. Like, you can't tell people, he said, you've paid your hard-earned money for a ticket. You've gone to a musical. You're into it. Sing. You can't say that, though.
I mean, now Joey Comanza could do whatever he wants when you see Wicked, right? Like, the fucking the guardrails are off, right?
Yeah. Like, what's the reverse? Like, you say, you go to a karaoke bar. You're not allowed to sing now. You have to be quiet and just listen to music. Like, you can't reverse that. Like, you're just not.
I paid my money to see the people on screen singing.
Exactly.
And again, I'm okay with like if you're going to a re-release, if you're going to a sing-along screening, if it's a bit thing, even like obviously Marvel movies on opening night, a lot of cheering. People love when characters come back up. That's part of the charm of it. But like, I feel like singing is almost making it about yourself. Unless you're like singing under your breath. Listen, I wasn't even that fired up about this singing comment in particular. It was a good topic for a blog. I was like, this is an easy blog I could write here. It's more just the general like theater etiquette has been so bad that when people talk about the box office is struggling, yes, it's because of streaming, but it's also like people are weighing in their mind, all right, I could wait 3 weeks, watch it on streaming at home for $20, or I could go to the theater and risk a bunch of rowdy teens ruining my experience. Mm-hmm. I'm sure that I sound like an old person yelling at clouds.
No, it's true though.
All right, before we get into our draft of people you would want to invite to Thanksgiving, and it's kind of a draft, we'll go category by category. Let's tell everyone about Celebrity Mint, sponsor for My Mom's Basement here. They're leaving their mark on the collectible industry, merging the worlds of sports memorabilia and precious metals. Founded in 2023, this innovative brand is redefining traditional collectibles by introducing the first legal tender trading coins featuring iconic moments from the world's biggest names in sports and pop culture. Celebrity Mint's gold and silver collections feature a range of legendary figures like Mike Tyson, Ric Flair, and Pete Rose, including limited edition legal tender trading coins and precious metal chibi collectibles depicting the most iconic moments from the world's most notable sports icons. This stuff's very cool. It's got new releases from Mike Tyson and Jake Paul to celebrate their fight. Celebrity Mint is revolutionizing the way fans and collectors commemorate their favorite icons, and My Mom's Basement listeners can visit celebritymint.com/Tyson-Paul. Tyson-Paul, and use the code Robbie10, ROBBIE10 for 10% off. Visit celebritymint.com to sign up and be the first to know when new products drop. All right, so this Thanksgiving draft, I don't think we've done this before, Clem. I went back. We didn't do it last year. I don't think we did it the year before. I had the idea for a draft of characters you would want to invite to your Thanksgiving dinner. Not just characters, because we'll start off with a real person. Then we'll go to a Star Wars character. Then we'll go to a DC character, a Marvel character, and then a miscellaneous fictional character, any franchise, whatever it may be. I really weighed all my options. Draft order, we'll let KenJac go first because he's the guest. And then we'll go Clem and then me. We'll go reverse like it is on the screen.
We'll do a snake, though, but then on the way, you could go first on the way back.
Okay, we'll do that.
I have a question, and this doesn't really portend to the draft, but like, I think when we draft, we could draft people we like or people we think would be a good fit. I think you're also kind of creating the environment you're going to have for Thanksgiving.
Totally.
And
totally.
If it's too personal of a question, you guys can refuse to answer. I'm one of those people that have never had the like, quote unquote, like, I don't even know what's called stereotypical, but like
the contentious Thanksgiving.
I never had the politics, or the racist grandpa. I always had nice Thanksgiving. So like,
me neither.
Clem and his woke grandpa. I knew it.
But I do
honestly, my Thanksgivings were always delightful as well. I don't recall a single moment where there was like an argument or a fight at Thanksgiving.
KenJac's silence speaks volumes right now.
We had some. We had my grandma, her name was Margie, and what she would do every year, she would collect things. She was a hoarder, you see, and she would collect them all. And then on Thanksgiving, we'd all have dinner, and then after dinner, we would call it marbage. She would take all of her garbage that she collected and she would distribute it to all of us. So like
garbage is great.
Sometimes you would get cool things, like you get like I don't know, like a brand new toy that she got gifted or found or whatever. And then other times you would get like a bag of screws in a biohazard bag. Like it would be insane. No. That's something I actually got. I actually got that one year. So Thanksgiving was a pretty wild time at the old Kennedy family group, and we would also throw axes and burn stuff and shoot things. And it was
okay. That sounds fun. Kennedy's having a blast.
This is awesome.
Yeah. Better than
like, that sounds kind of cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Our Thanksgiving like traditions were like interesting. We would always watch the parade, obviously, but like at the Della Bella family Thanksgiving. Or my mom's like Uncle Jimmy, rest in peace, God rest his soul, would always make fried shrimp as an appetizer, and he would make them like the best fried shrimp you've ever tasted. Now
Bob's
his
doing
daughter
the fingers
Donna
right now.
Oh, they were really
good.
And then Donna would bring all the kids the chocolate turkeys, and like those are the hollow chocolate turkeys on Thanksgiving. What a great treat!
Meanwhile, Clem's grandpa's walking around giving out soy milk and a fucking tofu burgers and all that stuff.
I'm picturing his grandpa now as Dan Soder's lib Rodney Dangerfield.
Yeah.
Hey, why do women get no respect around here? Hey,
boys, you want to get dark? I don't remember a Thanksgiving with either. One grandfather died before I was born, and the other one I don't remember having a Thanksgiving with, even though he was alive till I was like 6 or 7. So
he probably left the country when Obama got elected to Canada.
Probably.
All right, let's get into the draft of people you would want at your Thanksgiving. KenJac, we'll kick it off with you with the real person category. Real person.
Sure. This is an easy one.
Dead or alive? Can we do dead?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Okay.
Dead or alive? I think
I did alive, but sure.
I'm going for alive here. And I'm gonna pick what I think a guy, as far as like a Thanksgiving table, one of the ultimate family guys. This guy's got. I say ultimate family guys because he's got like he's not the family guy. I'm not picking Peter
Seth
Griffin.
MacFarlane?
I was gonna say this is gonna be wild.
He is a family guy. He loves family more than anything. He just keeps making more family. I'm gonna pick Philip Rivers. I think Philip Rivers would be an awesome guy to have at your Thanksgiving.
That's a good pick for you. Yeah.
He's rowdy. He's entertaining. He's a great storyteller. He fucking has 300 kids. You know, this guy knows how to take care of a dinner table. Like I feel like that's a guy. He's on the grill. He's handling the turkey. He's handling everything. Like he
brought you a lot of happiness growing up as a Chargers fan.
He's brought me tons of happiness, and I feel like he's just a guy that really takes charge of the entire day and the entire event. And I just think that is
takes charge.
Yeah, that does take charge.
Nice.
I just feel like he'd be awesome. He'd be a great time, a great guy sitting there. I can imagine him at the head of the dinner table, just carving up that turkey. Like, which one of y'all wants a piece? Like, I love it. I love it.
Damn, that's a really good pick right there, KenJac. And like you said, you need a guy. I imagine everyone on the panel can agree. If we're the ones hosting the Thanksgiving, we all need someone to really take control of the man duties, which is the bird. If anything arises that the jar that needs to be opened, all that stuff. And Philip Rivers, he's North Carolina kid.
North Carolina, or he's from Alabama. But he went to North Carolina, NC State.
Okay, so he's a Southern boy, so he's taking care of all that. That's perfect. That's a good one. Mm-hmm. That was a really good one. And,
a lot of good appetizers too. He's coming with. He's in good stuff. They're really good mac and cheese, like all that really good stuff.
And that's a great pick. That's a great pick. So, and mine kind of is in the same ilk. And the reason I chose Dead because my guy recently passed, but it's the same.
Oh, I know where you're going.
Tell him, Bob.
John Madden.
It's John Madden. Same kind of thing. He's bringing the turkey. He's bringing the turducken, right? And he's going to tell you all about the turducken. And there's an entire generation of people who don't even know when John used to just cook, literally, figuratively, on that broadcast and just tell you about every little thing about Thanksgiving. You're watching football. I was going to say, Philip Rivers would be like the aroma when he first came on, watching a game with him, I imagine, where he's telling you all the different stuff about football. You don't know. He probably called the plays before they happen, except he'd be a lot more fun. I think he'd just, let it rip. And obviously Madden has plenty of experience in that. And he was literally my favorite person on the planet Earth from the time I first saw him on TV till the time he died. And I think I talked about this on the podcast. I went like 10, 20 years ago. I just wrote him a letter. And it was like 2 pages about how much he changed my life and how I thanked him for everything he did. I never asked for anything back. I didn't care. I doubt he even read the letter, but it was just one of those things. I was like, I have to let this guy know how important he was in my life. Gotta have him at the dinner. He's the figurehead. Is Philip?
Oh yeah,
he's the captain
running that conversation.
Mm-hmm. KenJac? Okay. So
he's running that conversation.
That's the head he gets the head of the table. Like I am on the side with my wife, and he's bam. We're getting a lot of bams.
For me, my real person, it was tough because it was between 2 people, actually. And for mine, I was kind of looking for someone older with like a lifetime of stories to tell me. And I thought about going Steven Spielberg, one of my favorite guys in the entire world. But I'm going with someone I got tattooed on me. I'm going with Paul McCartney. I think Paul McCartney at Thanksgiving dinner, oh my God, what a time. And right after dinner, you hand him an acoustic guitar, you hand him a piano, and hey, let's hear some tunes, Paul.
Which part of the turkey do you think he eats first? Is it the wings or?
That's good. That's fucking good, KenJac. I like that.
Based on my limited Paul McCartney knowledge, and that knowledge is from the one episode of The Simpsons he was in, Lisa the Vegetarian. I believe he does not eat the meat, though, right?
He is a vegetarian. Oh, I didn't even consider that.
That's a tough look.
I'm inviting a vegetarian to my friggin' Thanksgiving. Would he be offended if we ate the turkey?
I don't know.
It might have been a miscalculation by me drafting a vegetarian.
He's not even doesn't even celebrate Thanksgiving. He's British.
He's British. I was about to say he's not even American.
No, I know, but I feel like he's lived in America as well. I feel like he's like familiar with Thanksgiving, and it's kind of a nice like, hey, get over here and eat. Like it's a treating him to a nice American Thanksgiving meal.
Do you think you're talking woke now? He's like, oh, this is when you took those indigenous people's land, had them.
You guys are making me think it wasn't a good. You guys are making me regret inviting Paul McCartney to my Thanksgiving.
I was sucking KenJac's dick for the Philip Rivers pick, and now I'm just ripping your pick apart.
Dude, McCartney and Clem's grandpa would have had a time. They would have had discussions we'd never imagined.
Fuck. Shit. All right. I'm wrapping it back around with Star Wars here. And I'm taking Obi-Wan, but I want to clarify, I'm taking young Obi-Wan specifically Attack of the Clones Obi-Wan, because Attack of the Clones Obi-Wan is okay using some Jedi mind tricks for like party tricks, essentially. Elon Sleaze Baggio, where he's like, hey, you want to go home and stop selling death sticks. I think this kind of Obi-Wan is kind of fun. I think you could tell him like, hey, go over to my Aunt Laura and mess with her a little bit. And he's like willing to do it. I think he has a drink in him. He's a little more relaxed. Like, yes, he follows the Jedi code and stuff, but he's got that young spirit in him. So I'm inviting a young Obi-Wan Kenobi. And this was also a tough one for me to decide between, because my mind immediately goes to like Lando. He's the coolest, the most suave. But I was like, I don't want Lando to like be fucking one of my aunts in the closet on Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Dude, I had the same thought about Lando. I go, I can't invite Lando. He's going to take my wife from me.
Yeah.
Hello, what do we have here? Like,
I'd like to hang out with him like if the boys are playing poker together, but like you can't bring him around like your female family members.
Mm-hmm. By the way, just not to bring it back up, I just looked up Paul McCartney Thanksgiving, and the first thing that came up is like a picture of all of them at Thanksgiving, and it's Ringo saying, "I'll take the drumsticks from the."
That's
also,
good. Another good one.
That was better than mine. I got kind of pissed about that shit.
There's a lot of good Beatles puns with Thanksgiving dinner. Who would have thought?
I think you're in the right thought process though. I think because like imagine like he mind wipes the racist uncle. He's like, hey, stop talking about the election. You know what I mean?
Like an argument comes up and he's diffusing it quickly.
Yes. Can he then make Paul McCartney eat meat?
Oh,
that's true.
Boom. Fixed. Clem fixed it. He's like, you are not a vegetarian for the day. And like it's no harm, no foul. Foul.
Nice.
Bird pun there. No harm, no foul, because at the end of the day, nobody remembers that McCartney ate meat that day.
Cutting the bird with the lightsaber, like the what do you call it?
Yep. I'm gonna say this. I mean, we're getting nerdy in these conversations now, but is he too strong for the Jedi mind trick? His mind? I don't want to like wipe out your
McCartney? No.
I don't think his mental fortitude is too heavy. He's pretty old now.
He's pretty old now too. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah, you could, and he smoked a lot of weed in his life. You couldn't trick that guy.
The most important thing about McCartney is that he can tell some fucking stories. Like he's going to get on and tell some stories. That's going to be good. All right, so I love episode 2, Obi-Wan. We are really letting the nerd flag fly with that. I appreciate that. This one's a risky pick, and I completely admit it, but I have people who can handle the negatives. But I'm going Baby Yo because he's fucking adorable. Nice. So he's just going to basically sit there. He's going to coo. What are the other words that they have?
Like babble, gurgle or something. He's all those kind of words.
He's doing all
That's a great, I feel like an idiot. That one, I didn't even think of him. He wasn't even in my Rolodex.
Well, I like, there we go. Nice. I was going right back to the old, like typical Rolodex of all the characters we talk on this pod. And I said, wait a minute, there was a Baby Yo doll that was just sitting on the ground. And I said, you're my fucking pick, buddy. So
that's a good
bringing him there. There's a chance.
And whenever it's like a baby's around the family dinner or whatever, it's immediately like, everyone's around the baby making funny faces. It's a good vibe pick as well.
Perfect source of entertainment. Don't have to change diapers because he's not actually a baby, right? So that helps. Him and John Madden interacting together. What's this in here? Wham, bam.
Oh my God, it'd be incredible.
I'm gonna cry.
KenJac, your Star Wars pick, and then you'll wrap it around with your DC pick as well.
My Star Wars pick, I'll qualify it a little bit with you need to lock up all of your silverware before he comes over, and make sure all the other valuables are hidden away. And even then, they still might go. And it's Hondo Ohnaka. Hondo.
Good pick.
You want to talk about some of the great storytellers in all of Star Wars. Hondo is maybe number one, and he's a guy that could just sit there and rattle off like name after story after this. He is a fascinating and rich character. Again, you might get robbed, but like the idea of like him sitting there telling all these crazy stories about like evading the law during the age of the Empire, during the age of the rebellion, like the rebels, like all that shit. All of it sounds so fucking cool that like I think that he would be an amazing fit. And as much as I appreciate it, like to a degree, Obi-Wan, like that's kind of like inviting a priest to your thing. You know what I mean? Like it's like it could be cool
a little bit.
It also could not be cool. And Baby Yo,
a little bit,
great distraction. But I want someone who's going to be like, this guy's giving you stories, man. He's giving you full-on stories, and I love that.
That's a really good pick. If you don't know Hondo, of course, from the Clone Wars and also the Disney ride. He's like the storyteller that they put in place. There's a good animatronic of him and shit. There's also a lot of rumors that he's going to be in Skeleton Crew because we're dealing with space pirates here, maybe a live action debut. If they do it in the same way they brought Cad Bane in, I'd be pretty thrilled. Like that was one of the highlights of Book of Boba Fett for me. It was the way they brought Cad Bane in. I didn't like that they killed him by the end. I would have liked him to survive and maybe even appear in something like this, Skeleton Crew. But hey, it's Star Wars. Somehow, if Palpatine returns, anyone could return. I like
Cad
that.
Bane's not getting an invite, by the way. Cad Bane's no invite for him.
No, Cad Bane would never get an invite to Thanksgiving. He's a cool looking guy, but like, no, you want him far away from Thanksgiving.
I was gonna try to make my pick. I was gonna go. I Googled Wikipedia random character just to see what popped up, but then it gave me like some random just faceless person, like rebel, whatever.
You should have picked that one guy, the Jedi Temple guard that kind of looks like you.
Yes, that would have been awesome.
That's right. Yeah,
I'm always down for a doppelganger. But for the people at home who may not know Hondo Ohn'Nuku, he is a male Weequay pirate and outlaw whose varied exploits garnered him notoriety, infamy throughout the galaxy, and he looks like a fucking time.
He's awesome. He's like a fan favorite for sure. I would say one of the biggest fan favorites that came from the cartoons.
Yeah. He's like a great storyteller. I don't know who the voice actor is, but it might just be D. Bradley Baker, but like he has a really cool voice, really awesome voice, really cool stories. And like, he's just like this very, like swashbuckling pirate guy that's just happens to be in space and an alien. But like, he is very cool. He's just an awesome character. And he like is sometimes on the Jedi side, sometimes against them, like depending on which side is more profitable for him. And he's just very fascinating dude. And I think he'd be a great storyteller. For my DC pick, this is a tougher one because DC, I feel like there's a lot of very dour characters, a lot of very more serious people. I think the one that I think it was easy in my brain. I'm like, I'm just going to go straight to James Gunn because he has made the characters the most interesting out of the recent DC things. And I think that Peacemaker would be so funny for sure. No question about it. But
I mean, he may start like a political discourse at dinner, but
that's the problem.
Funny.
That's the problem, and that's why I think I'm actually going with Vigilante because he's such a funny sidekick to what is the main characters in the other two. You know what I mean? Like Phil Rivers.
So you're going Vigilante.
Yeah, I'm going Vigilante,
I like
not
that.
Peacemaker.
Wow,
Vigilante.
Like that. That's funny.
Is so funny. Like that is such a fucking hysterical character. Like I think he's out of all of the comic book movie or TV series that have come out over the last few years, he might be like my pound for pound the funniest character. And like maybe just like in general, every line he has is banger, 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 and like he's just a good sidekick. And I think that is good. I don't want another main character yet in this situation, so I think he'd be a good just like riff off of something this guy says, riff off something that guy says, and he's just hysterical.
I like that guy, and I was like, I thought Peacemaker. I'm like, that would be funny, but then all the stuff you said about him is what stopped me about it.
Raised, yeah.
All right, so my DC pick. See the thing, I'm a pretty big DC noob here, obviously. Other than Superman, the greatest hero of all time, my guy, who's going to break all sorts of box office records. Like Superman's kind of a square. Like as much as I love the guy, let's call it what he is. And like you said, KenJac, there's a lot of people. Like a lot of the Batman villains would be like, you could figure out a way where it'd be fun, but you're also probably going to die. They're going to kill you at some point. Tough. And then I was going to make the horny picks, like Harley Quinn, who's going to probably kill you, or Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. But she's like she's a square and she doesn't really understand stuff because she's from like the Amazon or whatever. So I'm actually going to go with, this is a risky pick. This is a roll of the dice, admittedly, just because she's a crazy person. At least she's become crazy. She wasn't crazy when she went into Arkham, but she became crazy. I'm going with Sophia. She's the hottest fucking girl in the game right now. Everyone's in love with Sophia Gigante. Excuse me, I almost said the F word. And bring her to the table. We're gonna throw the Auga yellow dress on, and it's turning into quite an interesting fucking collection at the table right now. John Madden,
collection,
and Sophia right now.
Famously, very good person to have around your family.
Yes, really.
I will not cross her at all. I will make sure she knows I have no ties to her family.
Nobody needs to take the tryptophan nap after Thanksgiving because she's already gassed the house.
Windows will be open. We'll be freezing our ass up with the windows open the whole time.
So I actually thought Superman could have been a good pick. I feel like Superman is like, he gives that masculine energy to Thanksgiving. He's going to be helping all the ladies around the house, but he's also not going to be trying to steal any of the ladies. He's not going to be trying to fuck your aunt. He's like goody two shoes. So I was like, he'd be a good pick. But then one character kind of hit my brain, and I was like, this would be the perfect pick for me. I'm inviting Alfred Pennyworth, another Brit, to my Thanksgiving. And I'm not letting him lift a finger. I'm treating him like the grandpa where you're like, you're not even letting him take the garbage out. I'm bringing the plate to him. And we're giving Alfred Pennyworth the greatest Thanksgiving of his life. And like, don't even wear the tux. Don't even wear the little fishtails, whatever. Come in a sweater and sit next to Paul McCartney, listen to Beatlemania. I'm sure Alfred's a Beatles fan.
Oh, yeah.
Listen to his Beatles stories. I think he would be a delightful hang. Alfred in all Batman stories is that like sense of comfort and wisdom.
I know we haven't really said like assigned it to specific characters yet. Well, which Alfred would you pick?
That's a good question. Honestly, I could go any Alfred, but my like top 3 Alfreds would be
top 3 Alfreds.
Michael Caine.
Yeah.
Is it Michael Go or Alfred Go?
Michael
Go's his
Go,
son,
I think. Yeah.
Or Michael Go. The obviously the one from the first 4 Batman movies, the Keaton movies, the Val Kilmer movie, the Clooney movie, and then the Batman the Animated Series. Alfred, I think, is like perfect. But like if I'm picking a specific one, Michael Caine, get over here.
Mm-hmm.
That's strong. Now, Bob, I'm with you on this, and I'm trying not to pick your board here. I just have to ask because you sold me on Superman and how sick it would be if he carved the bird with his laser eyes. That would be sick. Fucking awesome.
But if you're inviting Superman, is Superman showing up or is Clark Kent showing up?
That's a fair question as well. Yeah, I mean, he won't even show up as Superman. He's like, no.
I guess you could if I'm clarifying Attack of the Clones Obi-Wan, I guess you could say like, yes, Superman showing up.
Yeah. If Clark Kent shows up, though, you will not see Superman because he does, two different people. He has to keep the
invite some random journalists to your Thanksgiving. Yeah.
For Clem's grandpa. Yeah.
Clem's grandpa will love it.
Now you still have 2 more picks here, right?
Yes.
And again, you can do whatever you want for your Thanksgiving. This is your world. Madden's fucking running mine. Phillip Rivers is quarterbacking his. Are any of these is Obi-Wan quarterback in this Thanksgiving right now? Or are you quarterbacking?
I think McCartney is, to be honest. I think I is. Dude, he's got Beatles stories. Bob?
Who's cutting the bird?
He's mind control.
Obi-Wan with the lightsaber.
That was what I was gonna say. You got to use the lightsaber to carve.
Yeah.
And because when you said Alfred, I'm like, oh shit, this is going to be done properly. But then you're basically freeing the genie from his curse, essentially.
Exactly.
By giving him. Did that happen in a Fresh Prince episode? I feel like Jeffrey got like the day off once and got to like relax, and it was a nice episode to say. So this would be a really nice thing to witness. Hey, Alfred, you have off for Thanksgiving, a holiday you do not celebrate. I love it.
Again, it's like if you're a foreigner and coming to America for Thanksgiving, you gotta love it. The food, the stuffing, the turkey, the gravy. How could you not love that? It's like I would love to go to a different country and celebrate one of their holidays and get to try a bunch of their traditional food.
Mm-hmm. Of course, yeah. It's just you are 0 for 3 on people that celebrate Thanksgiving right now.
That's true.
You know what? I am.
Don't you change your next pick either based on what I just said either.
I'm not changing my next pick. I'm not changing my next pick. This one, I felt pretty. Do you know who I'm picking? I don't think you do, actually.
No, it's not, because I thought it was an obvious one, and it was a guy who could quarterback the meal, but I guess not.
You thought Steve Rogers?
Yes.
Yeah.
He is
actually not going Steve Rogers. I'm not going Steve Rogers for a very specific reason. The guy was frozen for so long, he's going to miss all the references. I know he's got that gift where he's like, I understood that reference, but it was because it was a surprising thing that he actually did understand one. I'm going with someone whose references I'm going to get day in and day out. Someone that I think I would click with right away. We would be best pals. It's a chalk pick. It's Peter Parker. I want to sit next to Peter Parker at the Thanksgiving table and talk about Star Wars and talk about the Alien movies and build a fucking Death Star with him after dinner. Maybe even me and Peter Parker go for a walk with some cousins before dinner. I feel like he would be into that sort of thing. So I'm going with Peter Parker.
I think that's a good pick. I also worry about which Peter Parker it is.
I'm going Tom Holland, specifically Tom Holland, if I can clarify, because he's the one that I feel like is the most basement adjacent, Spider-Man.
Does Mary Jane come? Because if you're Zendaya at your Thanksgiving, that's awesome too.
That's awesome.
She comes for dessert, right? Or
she's like with her family and then comes for dessert or something. Yeah.
Does Ned come?
That would be awesome too.
Ned might be the pick. You might have to
open
just
invite for Ned. Yeah.
Yeah, you guys all sitting like after like building a Lego Death Star that'd be like
That'd be
peak
awesome.
existence.
That's like right up my alley. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Clem,
I
who
don't
is
think it's a
your
bad pick.
Marvel pick? Is your Marvel pick as obvious as we think it would be?
Well, it was gonna be the T-Man. I was fucking all ready to throw on the old Infinity. I lost the fucking Vision Stone the Mind Stone as I did that. Just because, imagine like we're talking problematic conversations at the dinner table, and it's like the T-Man. I mean, he's gonna have the whole "let's wipe existence, let's kill all these people." If he could like lead with that, I don't even know where he's going afterwards, right? But it's like, I feel like I got good vibes at my table right now, other than the potential, killer that is sitting there out of, on work release from Arkham for the day. So because of that, and Bob, I didn't even have this guy on my radar until you said, like, he knows Thanksgiving. We're going to be talking references. He's going to get it. Stuff's a little dated, but I'm older. Madden's older. He'll understand a lot of this shit. We're going Star-Lord. And he's also like, he was my daughter's first favorite, human. Did I rob you of that?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's good. I wanted Hondo and Peter Quill next to each other so bad. I thought that'd be such a cool combo.
Yeah, that'd be good.
That could be awkward. Like, they might have crossed paths once upon a time. Like, there could be something going on between them.
Yeah, they robbed each other.
Definitely robbed each other.
That's a good pick, especially for you, same age range, like you said. That's good.
We have all these videos of Sienna where she has like earmuffs on and she's going, yeah, and she's dancing, and she infamously would say, "That's Star-Lord, I love him." She had like a Long Island accent at the age of 3. I don't know where it came from. It disappeared the next year, but I'm very happy it's gone, but I'm also very happy it did once exist. So we're throwing Star-Lord, Mr. Missouri. And again, a former Thanksgiving celebrator once upon a time.
Yeah, and then KenJac will go Marvel and then end it out with miscellaneous fictional character. Excuse me.
Oh man, it's miscellaneous fictional. I thought it was real. Actually, I think I could think of a loophole for that. Okay, so for my next one, without him, I think that I'm trying to think of like what the next coolest one would be, and I kind of think like Gambit would be pretty cool.
Ooh. Oh, like Channing Tatum Gambit too?
Yeah, Channing Tatum. Yeah. You can't understand a damn word he's saying, but like he's cool, he's funny. He brings maybe he brings the gumbo to the function. Like he brings some
he'll bring the alcohol too. Remember that was like his stash that Wolverine was drinking.
Oh yeah, and you don't have to worry about you have a translator. I guarantee Mr. fucking Alabama Phillip Rivers can tell you everything.
Yeah, that's like that.
Scene him and Phil Rivers chopping it up. That'd be funny.
They would have a great time, like talking about battles between or whatever, like Alabama versus LSU or whatever, and they would just have a great time. They would have a great time together, and I think that he would bring some appetizers from New Orleans. That would be amazing. Maybe some beignets for dessert. Like I don't know, he could. There could be some really good.
That's
stuff
a good pick.
Yeah, and can be okay as a backup. I think
he's also a Mr. Steal Your Girl. You have to worry about, but
a little bit,
it is a holiday. I feel like he knows there's lines. He understands. Are we? So we're talking Channing Tatum Gambit, just for my mental.
I think that's the one you want at this point. He's so funny.
Yeah, and my now merged, I guess, family. They love gambling. My future in-laws, these people, they
playing cards with everybody. Yeah.
Yeah, we every holiday we gamble like crazy. So we'd be playing poker, and he would have a great time being the dealer of that, especially since he can do it just like. Although he might think he's cheating. I might think he's cheating. I don't know. Wouldn't matter. But
he probably is cheating.
Yeah, it's very true. But yeah, so Gambit. And then my last one, I had another, I thought I could pick a real character on this one, or a real person for this one. And I think I have a way to circumvent it. I was going to pick Charles Barkley. And because I think he would be awesome. And my way to circumvent it is that I would like to pick a character from the movie Space Jam, who is played by Charles Barkley, and was also named Charles Barkley, and is.
I will allow it.
So I want to pick Charles Barkley. You want to just talk about the funniest fucking storyteller that there is. He is just an absolute delight. I love just going back and watching old Inside the NBA clips of him just talking about old San Antonio women and going back and forth with Shaq, and just he is so goddamn funny. I think he would be a delight to have at a Thanksgiving.
That's good.
I like that.
You're getting a younger Barkley too, which the current Barkley I love, 10 out of 10. But I feel like you're getting some more raw stories. He's more energy. He's not falling asleep right after.
No.
He's fallen asleep at some point for sure, but after dessert, not dinner. This Barkley, the old Barkley, might fall asleep after dinner.
Yeah, this is the Barkley where he was like, I got 2 words for you. Steve Nash on NBA tonight at 6 p.m. And like Ernie's like, that was like 10 words. He's like, all right, 2 words. Nash tonight at 6. Like, that's 4 words. I love Barkley so much, man. He's a delight.
He honestly, if you put together just a table, he might be the 1-1 pick for like the world or the country or at Barstool. If you said who would, I think he'd have the highest approval rating. That's just my guess. So that's a great pick right there.
Oh yeah, big time.
And then your miscellaneous fictional character, Clem.
So, it's not in the frame here. I mean, every time I see fictional character, it just goes John McClane. Fits for this one as well. It's like it would be my golf foursome. It's John McClane. If I could, hang with someone for a day, John McClane. Invite him to Thanksgiving. Kind of doing the same thing as you did with Alfred, where it's like, dude, we got Madden manning a lot of this stuff. You don't have to worry about anything. Like, I want him just to relax, take it easy. If by some chance we get taken over by terrorists, I know he has us covered. But other than that, just like, tell a couple stories. I mean, that guy has stories for day. I just feel like he'd be a good hang too. Doesn't really take too much off the table. He'll bring probably 2 nice things, a nice bottle of wine. That fucking bitch Holly's probably just ruining his life though behind the scenes. So we're going to give John McClane a nice Thanksgiving. That's the plan here.
So for my miscellaneous fictional character, I think that's a good pick. And obviously a good one for yourself as the biggest diehard guy in the world.
And the only other guy that I was going to potentially pick here, but I know you've never watched the show, at least not yet. The Bung from The Wire, I think would be a great hang. Yeah. The Bung, like, tell me, KenJac, the Bung just, buy a glass of Jameson and just, going through stories would be a delightful fucking hang.
So which John McClane do you have? Do you have John McClane Die Hard 2 walking around with the sign, or?
No.
Great.
Your grandpa would hate that. Oh my God.
Grandpa would not like that.
No.
We're talking post. I'm going post Die Hard 3 McClane, because I'd love to hear about 1, but I'd also love to hear about Simple Simon and how he got rid of Simon. So I think we're going like 1999 McClane. I guess that would be right around then.
So I wanted to go in a similar direction. It's funny that you said John McClane, because I think there's like 2 movies that are the perfect action movie. One is Die Hard. It's absolutely 100 out of 100 for me. The next would be Raiders of the Lost Ark. So I was thinking, I love Indiana Jones. He's got stories for days. But at the same time, we saw in the Dial of Destiny, when the Beatles start hitting in the 60s and that's coming of age and everything, he's a bit of a grump and he's telling people, turn that music off and stuff. So I'm like, I don't want to have, Indiana Jones. I love him, but I think you get him on a bad day and he's a grump. I don't want to get him on a bad day and have him disrupting Paul McCartney's time. So I'm going to go with someone who I absolutely love from another action franchise. Robert McCall, Denzel from The Equalizer, is coming to my Thanksgiving, because listen, he's a savage when he's equalizing enemies, but when he's not, he is like the #1 community family guy. He's teaching people how to paint. He's teaching people how to cook. He's looking out for people. I feel like you invite Robert McCall to one Thanksgiving and you might have him at every Thanksgiving for the rest of your life. And it's Denzel. Come on, it's Denzel.
Yeah. Oh, that's a fantastic pick. And you think you nailed on the head, like all the Equalizer movies that make such a big point to prove how much he is like a ride or die for his family and community guy. Like every one of them, it's this whole thing. It's like you fuck with people he likes and he just destroys your entire existence, including that one guy.
That's the other thing. You have him in your back pocket. Someone messes with you in the future. Yeah. All right, well, you're getting equalized now.
Like that fucking guy that tried out for Barcelona that one time. Do you remember that? He was like the first guy.
Oh, yeah, he got equalized with the credit card.
With the credit card swiped across his jugular or something. That was crazy.
And that was awesome. That scene is it fires me up. They fucking tried to take this girl home. They like drugged her and took her home. And he just shows up and he's like, I'm going to kill you with your daddy's credit card.
Yeah. He's like, he pretended to be their Uber driver or something. And he's like, oh, good ass scene. That's a good pick. That's a really good pick.
Thank you.
That's a really good pick. And
so there we go.
That last round there. The Equalizer, McClane, and Barkley, those 3. Just get those 3 in a room together.
Yeah.
Have yourself a day.
All right, so let's rattle off our complete list. My list is Paul McCartney, a young Obi-Wan, Alfred Pennyworth, Peter Parker, and Robert McCall. Clem, your full list?
I got John Madden, Baby Yoda, Star-Lord, Sophia Gigante, and John McClane.
And KenJac.
I got Phil Rivers, Hondo Onaka, Gambit, Vigilante, and Charles Barkley. What a fantastic! I wish I could be a
eclectic.
That is the My Mama's Basement Thanksgiving special. Thank you, KenJac, for joining the show. Very fun draft, and happy Thanksgiving to everyone out there listening. Thank you, guys. I'm thankful for you, Clem. I'm thankful for you, KenJac, and we will talk to you next week for, I believe, is next week Skeleton Crew? Yes, next week we'll be back for an actual Skeleton Crew review. So join us then.
I got to resubscribe to Disney Plus now.
Yeah.
Shout out to They Them
All right.
Clemenza.